Hello and welcome. This is Darla Ledoux, and we are here with our magic panel today. I am so excited. So, as you know, I have released my book this week, Shift the Field. I'm guessing anyone who's in any way connected with me has noticed that this week. So, yay! Kate's modeling it over there. It arrived on her doorstep in the UK, so that's amazing. If you join us live and you can get yourself on StreamYard so we can see your name, just put a comment in so I can practice and see that I can see comments. We're going to be diving in today to what is your magic type. So in the book, there is a whole chapter on your magic. And one of the things that I've shared in interviews this week is that when I got to the end of writing the book and I kind of took a step back and thought, okay, what is this book really about? It used to have a different title and everything. And even though the outline didn't change very much, the one thing that changed is I added this chapter about magic. Because when I got to the end of the book and thought, how does this really help people? What I could see is, in the book, I teach the anatomy of a transformation. It's a 3-step structure to help you think about what your client is moving through when they work with you and when they're working on their own transformation. And so knowing that structure really helps you relax into your magic. It helps you to know that your intuition has a time and a place with your client and that it is so incredibly valuable. So that became like the most exciting thing for me about this book. And then as I've been being interviewed by different people this week, anyone who's read the book or is familiar with it is asking about the magic. It's like, that seems to be the most exciting part. So I asked a group of different types of magicians to come on the line and share about how their magic works. So the first thing I want to share is shifting the field is about shifting energy from what I call default energy to sourced energy. So default is that it's based on the past, how we learn to survive life. It helps us try to control the future, but it's kind of redundant, right? Whenever we feel stuck or sticky or stagnant, we're in that default energy. Sourced energy is vibrant, it's alive, it is in the present moment. And when we go from default to sourced, that's what I call a transformation, right? And it's creating this permanent shift in the way you show up and interact with life, which then creates a totally different result. The key to helping your clients through this process is helping them actually see a new truth, something that's hidden from their view, right? That they haven't noticed before about how they've been operating. And as a magical practitioner, you tend to see truth. So just quick with my panelists before we introduce you, just raise your hand if you know this about yourself. I tend to see truth. Yeah. So we need more of that, right? We need bringers of truth who are willing to bring truth to the table. And so the truth is subjective, right? Not every client has the same truth. It's not like one thing is true for everybody, which is why this personal support makes a difference. And then the way truth gets revealed is different depending on the practitioner or the magician that you're working with. And so a lot of times we have these gifts, but we don't know we have them, or we've been shamed for them. We've been taught to tone them down, or maybe we use them personally, but we don't really know how to talk about it in our business. And I'm curious if anybody here, when we'll dive into it deeper, but just show of hands, has been told you can't market that, you can't sell that. Yeah, it's like, tone that down, right? And market something else. And so I would just want to bust that open here today. And that's one of my goals. So as everyone watching will see, we have 6 different types of magic represented here. And so while everyone here is most likely multi-magical, in other words, there are different ways that your intuition works. Most people resonate with a couple of them. We're going to speak from the specific magics today just to help our viewers get a sense of what, how theirs works. So we're going to first go around the room and just have each of you introduce yourself and share about what you do, right? What you're passionate about in your business and how your magic works. So we'll do that first. And I'll just say, I'm Darla Ledoux. I'm representing Compassion Magic. I relate, there's 3 of them that I feel I use the most. Compassion Magic has to do with healing with love and complete acceptance or complete non-judgment. So as anyone who's been around my work for a while knows, I've been passionate about retreats. And one of the reasons, like I was unconscious competent about this, right? But one of the reasons I was so passionate about retreats is it's such an amazing space to hold that love and acceptance and that unconditional presence with clients and with a group all at once. And, I was taught, just in picking things up, like that's not that important, right? Like love, you can't sell love, right? And so, I've had to learn that was valuable. And the way that I learned that was through retreats and watching what happened, but it wasn't always obvious for me. So I'm going to go around the room in the way I see everybody, and I'm going to start with Meredith. So Meredith Vaish is an expansion magician.
Hi, I love this conversation, and I love the book because it helped me name this magic that I have, that I was operating with, that I had no idea, and I was constantly diminishing. So I am a clarity coach. My company is called Pause Box, and I guide busy women on how to take meaningful breaks so that they can powerfully create their next chapter. And it never occurred to me that everything I do is all around possibility. It's all around creating a new vision. And it's about getting people past whatever their limiting beliefs are and into that kind of newer potential energy. And until I was actually named an expansion magician, I was like, oh, that makes total sense. So that's what I'm here representing.
Yeah. Amazing. And so the expansion has this belief in abundance. It's like naturally looking at something and not seeing the limits, just seeing the possibility. And I'm curious, Meredith, one of the things I've noticed with expansion magicians is it's so much easier to do it for other people than themselves. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, a lot. Yep. Yeah. I think that's true in all coaching. But yes, I will talk to someone and I can see huge possibilities. I can see where they're stuck. I can see, sometimes I don't share it because it doesn't sound like they're always ready for it. But yeah, that vision is instant. And then it's about how to make it real.
Yeah. Beautiful. So we'll come back to that about sharing it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Julie Flippin, recognition magician.
Hello. Yes, I am a business coach. And I would just want to say, shift the field. I love the magic, but the anatomy of a transformation, I think, is one of the most powerful tools that any coach or healer could use in their practice. It is, if for people that don't have a specific process, to walk through that is so simple and so powerful. So that is one of my favorite parts, I have to say.
Thank you.
So, the field. Yeah, recognition magic is really about seeing patterns and sensing how things would be working out. And it's a little bit tricky. It's been a little bit tricky for me in the sense that I see pictures, I get images, I get thoughts. It's so clear if I'm talking to someone, I get the whole picture. I get it. I see it. I see where they're at. I see what they want, where they're going, and possible outcomes if they continue the way they are. And it's getting this gift of knowing what your magic is tremendous. Having the confidence and trusting yourself to know that this is not a fluke.
Yeah.
I really am able to do this. Has given me the opportunity to own it. As soon as I step into owning it, it's like coming online in a whole new way and going, oh my gosh, my family used to call me a knower. So, oh, you're such a knower. It's like, of course I am. I have recognition magic. But going from being a knower to a know-it-all, see, that's the defining time of learning how to be where my clients are at. Even though I see something, and Meredith said it beautifully, I can't just say, oh, this is what I see and that's it.
Yeah.
It's really pacing and understanding that people don't see things the same way, and having the patience and using something like the anatomy to help bring them into a deeper level of truth so that they can move forward in their life and in their business.
So good. So good. Yeah. And we're going to come back to this right timing. So, and I know you have a great story about like not using your magic. So we'll come back to that too. All right. Robin Finney is a sensation magician.
Yes. And first of all, I want to see, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, good. Yes, I'm Robin Finney. I'm an authenticity and intuitive guide, and I support others in being seen and really owning their authentic self and voice. And as a sensation magic, it's been quite a unique journey because I don't know, it's been new to me within the past few years that I've been recognizing it. And I mean, for most of my life, I thought that there was just something weird or wrong with me because I feel things in my body. And I literally can feel the pain of the world when I'm not conscious of protecting my energy. And it's like I can feel the weight and the heaviness when things are darker times, or if I'm working with clients before I knew more about my magic, I would just feel so drained afterwards. And now, understanding my magic more, I'm able to really see that it's a gift. And like even last night, I was doing a clarity session with a client, and I was working through her chakras. And when I got to her heart, my left hand just started like vibrating and pulsing. And so afterwards I said, what showed up for you in your heart? And it was really cool to be able to know that my body is like supporting me in this work and supporting my clients in that way.
Robin, I love that you shared that specific example. And again, we're going to come back to like, what was it like having that and not knowing and not owning it? So yeah, super good. So sensation magics feel it in their body. And if you're not aware of it, that can be real problematic. All right. So let's go to Kelli Reese, the vibration magician. Tell us a little bit about you and how your magic shows up.
Thank you, Darla. Hi. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Kelli. I am a certified leadership coach for spiritually minded female executives and established founders. And what I do is I transform exhausted executives into the unapologetic, soulful leaders that they're meant to be. And I have to say thank you, Darla, for writing this book. It took me years to figure out what you have so beautifully like laid out in the transformation process and just like hand it over. So it's really valuable. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. So had I had this book years ago, it would have been really helpful. So I'm glad that you
That's the goal, to save some
Exactly.
time so we can get our magic rolling. Yeah.
Yeah. I am a vibration magician, which I love the report that comes after the quiz. I was just like, amazing. So my primary language is energy. So basically when somebody communicates, I can see why they've attracted what they have into their life. I notice like connections, like I can see like, oh, here's why this is showing up. And I can go directly to like what's behind it. And I always, sometimes when I work with my clients, they see like I'm looking through them. And really what I'm doing is I'm like tapping into the energy of what's actually going on behind what is right here. So I feel it, I can see it. One of the things you said in the report is that I can see the distinction between how I am in my life and what happens in my business. And I need to like keep my life really clean. And I was just like, yes, that's so accurate. So
it can be challenging, right? Because other people maybe can get away with not always being in the highest. Yeah.
Yes. Other people get away with stuff. And I would be like, okay, why can't I do that? And it was super validating to like get this information. And when you said in the beginning that, it's like, you were told I can't market that. Like when I tried to follow what the other people were teaching, I felt totally off. I felt out of alignment. It just felt gross. And it was like, no, this is not the right energy. And so it took me a while to actually understand that I need to understand my own vibration and how I show up and vibrate with what is, partners, potential partners, collaborations, that kind of thing, clients even. So.
Yes. And is it ever hard to say no? Like maybe everybody else is going to an event because it's super popular and for some reason it's not vibing. Yeah.
Yes. I've had to learn to trust it for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. And I'm curious because I don't have this the way you described it. When you see through and is it like, do you see like a matrix or like can you? No,
I know some people who see grids. I don't see the grid. I see, God, I've never been asked this before. I feel the energy in my body of what they're feeling. So like I can drop into their energy, but then I can see like, sometimes I see if there's energy behind them, like if there's actual like figures behind them. But I see it, I feel it, and then I see it's like a clear picture. Like I want what's behind them, kind of like you're saying I need to keep my life clear. Yeah. I want what's behind them to be clear, and I can tap into like what's back there energetically, but then I hear the information coming through about like how to make that what's behind them clear.
Very cool.
I don't know if that makes sense at all, but
perfect then.
I need to describe that. It's not always easy to describe what I do.
Yeah, well, and that's part of why we're doing this,
exactly,
right? Because it is. It's not easy to describe, and do we need to? And I believe personally that there's been a long run of sell them what they want, give them what they need. Let's not talk about this stuff, right? Just nobody wants to know your how, but we're becoming more sophisticated, and I do think really talking about it more is going to become more popular, right? And that we need to learn how to talk about it, and not necessarily all the details, right? I'm not saying like someone needs to know exactly that to work with you, but to really be seen in our gifts, right? Like I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but I know I did, where I felt kind of like whatever I was saying out front, even if it was working, it just felt a little bit like, yeah, but there's so much more. And we can't say everything, but can we start to bring this forward a little bit more? So, and I think that's a great segue to Kate Wolf, who does mesmerizing messaging. Has a lot of thoughts on this subject too, but is an expression magician. So Kate, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, what a wonderful segue. I was just thinking that myself. So I work with entrepreneurs who do really deep work that is hard to explain, and I help them to stop trying to explain it. and then start, through correct alignment of their energy, how they're living and how they're showing up. And yes, what they're saying, but more importantly, how they're showing up, with all of them, right? The energy behind what they're saying to attract clients who want their deepest, truest work, so that they don't have to hide their true magic, and so that they get to do their real work because they've attracted the clients that have put their hands up and gone, yes, please, I want that. I'm at a certain level of my journey where I understand it's no longer about strategy and how to, and I have enough of that, and there's something missing, and I'm up for that. I'm up for that journey. And I call it transformational marketing as opposed to transactional marketing. So instead of you give me this amount of money and I give you this result, and what's the ROI, and it's very heady. It's a collaboration, and it's a way of taking your marketing, which you have to do anyway to grow your business, and elevating it so that actually you are doing your world shaping work on a big platform. And some of those people may never even become your clients, but you're still impacting their lives. And it really becomes about elevating your positioning so that you're not just, in the transactional space, but you're using your transformational magic in your marketing.
Yes. So Kate, I think it's so fascinating. As an expression magician, one of the things that I see is expression magicians can have the hardest time marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about what an expression magician is and how it works.
Yes. So first of all, absolutely. And part of the reason I do what I do is because it was so hard hard for me for so many years. And what I realized is because the expression magician is so in the moment and responding to what's happening and really just channeling the energy in the moment, which is what I just did, by the way. I have no idea pretty much what I just said. And so it's very, very hard to repeat yourself as an expression magician. So all the traditional marketing teachings, which make you kind of pin down your elevator pitch, and how you introduce yourself and what you say about your work, is really hard because it's all head based, right? And so I first experienced, and now a lot of my clients experience, this feeling of not knowing what you do, when really you really, really do, and you're brilliant at it. I've never doubted, when someone is a client, that's it. I've never had doubt. I've never had fear. I know I can create epic transformation. My fears were always in the pre-stage, right? The marketing, the selling, and not knowing what to say, and believing it was because I didn't have the clarity. But it wasn't. It was just that as an expression magician, my understanding or my experience of clarity is different to how it's talked about. And so what I found, and what I always encourage all expression magicians to do, is always watch back everything. Watch your lives, watch your sessions with your clients. If you really don't have the time to do that, get them transcribed and read them, because you do know, and you've already said it probably about 50 times. Yes. And it's for someone, right? Which is why I always make sure I have a coach, because I need someone else drawing out my expression magic. Yes. And right now I'm writing my own book, and pretty much every day I'm I don't know what I'm talking about. And then I'll go,
I think that's so good. It's so good, Kate. This thought of, I don't know what I do. I mean, I've heard lots of clients say that too. And that's probably a clue that you're an expression magician. Yeah. If you feel like, I don't know what I do. Yeah. So good. Okay. So I have 4 questions that we're going to just kind of do round robin. So just jump in when you feel called, when your magic says, oh, it's me. Just speak up. It's totally fine if we have a little cross speaking. So the first, and by the way, if people have specific questions who are watching, feel free to put those in the chat as well. I have 4 prepared. So the first is, how did you discover that this was an intuitive gift?
I'll jump in and say that my recognition coach, Julie, is the one who recognized it in me. And I remember, I don't know if this was after I did a year-long program with Darla and Julie. And I remember, I think it was before I even signed on, Julie was just like, I know you have these abilities. I see it. I can see it so clearly. And to me, it was just like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but I trusted. There was something that my intuition was like, trust her. She knows. And so it's cool to see, like, looking back now, how Julie's magic came into play with me stepping into my magic.
Oh, cool.
So awesome. So awesome. Yeah. Who else?
Yeah, I really denied mine. You know, it's taken me years to really step into it. What I do know is that we all want to be seen. And at the same time, we're scared to death to be really seen, like who we really are. And yeah, I mean, I knew at a young age, I had some magic, some gifts of dropping into energy. I think Kelly was saying, dropping into someone's energy field and really seeing them and seeing some of the things and the patterns and what was going on. And it frightened me. And it was like the self-doubt was amazing. And it was working with Darla at Sedona Retreat, where it's like 40 years later from when I first discovered this, to say, I wonder if it's real. Like, it just felt so like having the magic is a really vulnerable place to be. And stepping out and saying, I'm an innovator and this is what I do and I can do it. That sense of, what if it doesn't work this time? Which just means I'm out of alignment. And so it's, for me,
Ooh, I want to add something, Julie. So
Sure.
What if it doesn't work this time? Means I'm out of alignment, maybe, or that the client is, right?
Yes.
And this, I
Yes.
just want to, this goes across all of them. So I do sessions that are very compassion sensation combination. And I've had one client where I was like, I'm not getting anything, right? Like I scan the body and feel into the chakras, and I usually get a feeling in my body. I get an awareness of some past energy or whatever. And I had one session the first time where nothing happened, right? And immediately it's like, oh shit, what have I done? And then I took a breath and I'm like, okay, why? Right. And really what needed to happen in that session was really to uncover where even the lack of safety was, to be open enough to be read.
Yeah. I'm so glad that happened to you, because you know, the exact same thing happened to me. I was doing an online reading and it's like, it doesn't work. I'm not getting anything. And Darla said to me, I wonder if they're blocking something. Like, they knew I was doing the reading. It's always with permission. And it was like, oh, that never occurred to me. And as soon as I knew that, it dropped and I was able to drop in and get everything. But that's such a great point.
Yeah.
Can I offer a total contrast to that?
Yes.
Because I think expansion magic is kind of the most socially acceptable magic.
Yeah.
Right? It's like almost main street sort of magic. So because I came from corporate, I was using my expansion magic all the time. And it was at some point very celebrated because I could create and expand any idea. And a lot of times it was politically very difficult because a lot of people wanted to keep things status quo. So just constantly rubbing up against, but there's this amazing way, and a lot of people just like resistance. So I've had to learn that that's not me, that negativity and that resistance and that we don't see it. I would just walk around going, there's something wrong with me. Right. Because I'm just going to default to that. And I realized in my own upbringing, I came from Salt Lake City, Utah, which is an incredibly conservative culture when it comes to what can women do or what can anyone do. And again, I was very much raised in that, but I want to be all these things. And it was, I don't know what you're talking about. So when I came to California, I was like, woohoo, progressive. It's like, it's an expansive culture, especially here in Silicon Valley. And I think it's no mistake that I'm living in this very creative culture where expansion is part of everything we do. So that's been my experience. And then only until it was named through your work, Darla, did I realize, oh, I'm really at home here and I can really claim this and I can help others take their journey through this.
I'm getting something from that, the way you shared that, other people saying, but we don't see it. And you see it so clearly, like how it could be more or bigger. And, the foundation of expansion magic is this innate belief in abundance, like in the flow of life, and everything is possible. And we're supported. And I know nature is such a huge part of your work and your, what you want for your clients. And, we're supported by nature in its abundance. But it makes sense you received resistance, because if we look around, there's so much lack, right? Like the media is constantly in conversation about lack.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. When I was taught to look at the leaves on the tree, I'm looking at one right now, and that is a signal to how infinite, abundant, and possibility is, right? If you look at grains of sand, I mean, it just takes you into that infinite possibility, and that's where I really love to go. Yes, Julie can feel it.
Such a gift. So I just want to share, we are here doing a panel about the 6 types of sourced magic. So we're all represented here. There's a chapter in my new book, Shift the Field, if you haven't gotten it. And you can go to shiftthefield.com and put in your info. And I'm actually gifting a bunch of gifts to help you apply what's in the book. So we're covering the different types of magic, and the book is about the anatomy of a transformation, which helps magical light workers to relax and lean more into their work because they're supported in this structure. And so we're halfway through here. If you guys have questions, pop them in the chat. I have 3 more, and then we'll have everybody here share where you can learn more about them as well. So this, I think this kind of got touched on, but how have you doubted your magic in the past? Kelli.
I have totally doubted. I haven't always seen it as a gift, that's for sure. And, when I doubt it, I have doubted it to the point where it's become painful and has zapped my health, my exhaustion, my energy. Which is why I do the work that I do now with the women that I work with who are exhausted. A lot of times there's pieces that are out of alignment. And when I was in my former career, we've talked about this some, Darla, like I knew the vibration of that place. I would feel physically ill when I would go to the office, and I would feel like I was going in a battle every day, but I was like, I got to show up. I got to do this. I got to, I signed a contract, and I have to be there for this organization. And I believed I had to hold that space and that energy for a $34 million organization, which takes a lot of energy. When I realized that's what I had been doing in all of these places, I was like, I need to hold a container that's much smaller on retreat, for clients and that kind of thing, group programs, because I was really, as the top person, as the CEO in the organization, I was holding that space, but I really wasn't listening to all of what was vibrating around me about how off everything was. And I was really sick when I left. And really that's what shifted me. It was like, this job can't take my health. I was willing to give up so much for the work. But when it was my health, it was like, no, but I didn't listen, and I doubted. I could have listened a lot sooner before it was really painful.
Well, did you think it was just you? Like there was something with you as opposed to that the organization was off?
Yeah. I knew there were people who I did not resonate with in that organization. It was abundant. It was very apparent. But yeah, I looked at what I always say is, in my book, I said I tried really hard to fit my round peg into that, square opening, and it was just like, oh, I'm going to jam it in there. And so yeah.
I was talking with someone who's a vibration magician, and it was like, what she experienced is where she grew up, she just felt like she didn't fit, right? But those were the only people she knew. And so the conclusion she made was something was wrong with her, and that she was just like socially inept. But really, it just was not her people.
Yeah.
So if we're used to it being in a vibration, if you're used to being in a vibration, that's not what your soul came here to be, and you're a vibration magician, it's especially sensitive, you may not even know that something else is possible.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Who else has doubted their magic? Yeah, Kate.
Yeah. When I talked to like the meeting place for me between doubting and discovering, because interestingly, I don't think, maybe I'm like remembering wrong, but I don't think I ever doubted my ability in some of my other magics. Like I've always known I could feel energy. And I didn't even know that other people couldn't. I actually thought that was normal, until around kind of mid-teenage. It was like, oh, not everyone experiences the world like this. But I kept it. And the same with sensation, always feeling things in my body, being very sensitive that way. And the same with, and the kind of like conglomeration of those two with recognition, like being able to see and feel patterns. What I struggled with is what eventually turned out to be my main magic, which is expressing all of that and claiming it, really claiming it. And one of the ways, well, first of all, I think for me, it was more of a fear than a doubt when it came to expressing my magic. And the fear was this like fear of shining and fear of being seen, as you were talking about, Julie, and then judged for it, ridiculed and rejected. And so that was the work I had to do to be able to then see that I actually had quite a lot of mastery in the realm of expression, but I've been blocking it because it felt terrifying.
Thank you for sharing that. And can anyone else relate to feeling terrified of your magic? And so do you know, Kate, like what was the little girl in you afraid would happen?
Yeah, well, it had happened, right? As a little girl, like I had spent many playtimes angled at a very specific corner where no one either in the playground or inside of the glass panel door could see that I was crying. So it had something about me, had led to me being bullied and a lot of loneliness and a lot of pain. And when I told my parents, I never told them that. They found out. So there's a whole other bit in there about holding other people's pain and responsibility as a sensitive person. But this specific piece was when they found out my dad, in his absolute kind of best attempt to care for me, said, the only reason anyone will ever not like you is because they're jealous of you. Q, don't shine.
Right.
And really took that on as a belief, like mustn't shine too bright, then people will be jealous, equals not being liked.
Yes. Hear you. Thank you for that. Cindy's attending our event. So we have Shift the Field Live is happening May 20th to 22nd. Thank you, Cindy. You're such a rock star for plugging that for me. You can find that at shiftthefield.com/live, but you get a discount if you buy the book. So do that first. D says, I'm still a little terrified of my magic. And so I'm just curious, as we're talking about doubting our magic, has anybody else felt that? Robin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I related a lot to what Kate just shared and being like highly sensitive and really feeling. And as a child, I grew up in a really tumultuous environment, and the way I would cope was hide. I would go and hide, and I didn't realize at the time that that was my way of like actually protecting myself. And as an adult and a world traveler, I've been traveling the world by myself for the past 3 years, and I've just told people, I'm like, oh, I have good experiences when I travel, and I'm always protected and safe. And it's just like this deep knowing I have within me. And I sense like my body will tell me if a person is not someone I should engage with, or if I'm walking down a street, my body will like signal to me, like, you know what, don't turn down that street. Keep going this way. And so for a while, it terrified me to share that, because I was like, one, I thought that other people experienced this as well. And so I was always kind of like, why are people so afraid to travel? You just tune into your body will tell you. And then it wasn't until I started understanding my magic more that I really got that, like, no, this is actually a unique gift that I possess. And then it kind of terrified me, because I was like, oh, I can't go out promoting this, because what if I have a client that I design a trip for, goes on a trip with me, and then something bad happens to them because I've put this out there that they're protected and safe. And so it's caused me in that sense to kind of like reel myself back in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it would make sense then to help them know how their magic works, so they can really know how to tune in. And gosh, that makes me just think of like, we're not taught this, you guys. Like I really kind of downloaded this work. I got the hit to create a framework, and that's part of what I do, because I have the engineering background and how my brain works, is like to see something that seems amorphous and put it in a framework. Right? These 6 magics aren't the only way your intuition could work. You have a combination. But it's like we need a framework and a place and a playground, right? Like I am creating this community, this sourced playground, because we need a playground to practice it, because we don't really know. And so, Robin, I think that's part of what's so brilliant about the way you're combining travel and coaching is you're giving people an actual experiential opportunity to practice. But yeah, it's so good to know that not everybody's works in the same way. And then also being a kid, I have a lot of sensation too, being a kid in a house where there's a lot of people experiencing a lot of things. I for sure shut mine down, right? It was like, it was unsafe to be present to that and to feel it. Like it's just too overwhelming. Yeah.
I think something else that really struck me, just a little bit of what Robin was saying, especially when we are really coming into and owning some of our magic. I mean, the doubt we have, we're going to attract clients where it's going to be really challenging to use our magic. Yes. And one of the things, especially in recognition magic, is select the clients that are ready and open to your magic and are ready to dive in. And that seems, because I've chosen people that weren't. I mean, I just wanted to help people and I couldn't use it. And then it felt awkward and I better not, because I never kind of indicated I might. It gets crazy making. And I had a colleague call me yesterday and she said, someone I've known for years, she says, I'm looking for a high-level conversation in a container that's really safe, that I can just be seen and heard. And I thought to myself, as I was just kind of reviewing recognition magic today, is even though I may not be purposefully marketing myself, we are always marketing ourselves when we show up as who we really are. And people tend to recognize that in us, which I think is really magical.
Yes, I know. When one of our webinars not too long ago, we talked about that, how, you're mad. People see it even if you're trying to hide it. It's kind of funny, and But then that can be tricky because they're seeing it. But if we don't know it, we're thinking like, oh, I shouldn't really tell them this, or I shouldn't really do it this way. And then there can be like, well, I expected more, like because they're seeing it. So it's an interesting dance. I'm going to say one thing representing compassion magic. And then the next question, so you guys can think about it, is, have you ever struggled with when is the right timing to share your magic? Like when you know something or you feel it or you see it, have you struggled knowing when to actually share it? So that's the next question. And as a compassion magician, if anybody else has this one, I want to say a couple of things. One is when clients have tested compassion, they've often resisted it. So this is that, healing with your heart, holding this potent space of non-judgment. It looks like doing nothing in a lot of ways, right? It's kind of like what Julie just described, someone to hold space and see me. It's like, so easy to undervalue. And then also because we've been systematically trained that feminine gifts are less valuable than masculine gifts, right? Like I was told that in corporate, tone down your soft skills, like be a techie, right? You're going to get further. We're trained that way. It can be hard to say like, oh, my gift is my healing heart. It's like, wah, like that's, that's soft. And I can, coming from that background, my name, Darla Ledoux, means the soft and sweet one. Like literally Darla and Ledoux are all about being soft and sweet. And I hated that so much. I was like, I'm going to change my name. This is not who I am. Like, and my first business the tagline was live your sweet spot. And, and then people called me the sweet spot lady. And I hated it so much. So if you are a compassion magician, recognizing it goes a little bit with vibration, because vibration is a lot about holding that space too. And like people entrained to your energy. Compassion is like, you just love them so much they can't help but love themselves. And by the way, all the healing is self-love. All of what we do is self-love. It's all self-love. So it's a more direct kind of approach to that. Okay, so who has ever struggled to know when was the right timing to share your gift? Kelli.
Definitely. Yeah. So I can sense, and this is in the report that you have for the Vibration Magician, I can sense the energy of agreements between two people. So between my client and other people, I can see, is it positive? Is it unhealthy? I just know, like, I know whether it's possible for them to shift that energy as well. So and I have to check in all the time and see, and I've gotten better at making sure that I don't feel it for the entire world, community, that kind of thing. So I've had to really like bring my gifts, this especially, into like, I'm going to be open and here showing up for using it with clients and with some friends and stuff. But even in friendships, I've had to really be in alignment with myself and resonant of what they're willing to accept or understand about what I'm telling them, especially if it's somebody who has a meaningful relationship in their life, and then I've also had to get additional trainings in order to help my clients resolve these things easily. It's like I learned how to do cord cutting at this level that it's faster, so that we can move through these things. It's not like you tell them and then go, oh, and we're going to take, the next year and a half to go through this, that kind of thing. So, but knowing it takes a lot of emotional intelligence and just trust, which is also vibration, trust in myself.
To myself. That makes me curious, Kelli, with relationship, when I get that probably in a different way, where I kind of have a sense like, okay, this is going to last or this is not going to last, right? Or that's what I sense. But there's always learning in there too. right? So if someone has attracted that relationship that's a vibrational mismatch for them, or they've grown and it's not a match anymore, but if they just left, they would go probably attract the same thing without this work that you do, right? And
Exactly.
so there's a navigating of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
I tell people, be sure before you leave your executive role about why you're leaving, because if you're leaving for these specific reasons that I cite in the work that I do, it's just going to go with you.
yeah.
So you'll attract another vibrational, match, and
Yes.
you'll also show up in the same vibration that you are until you can clear the things that are sitting there that you can't necessarily see, but you certainly feel.
Exactly. So when you think about whether it's leaving their job or leaving a relationship, when they come to you, do they know they want to leave? Or is it more like, I'm curious, let me figure this out? Like, where does this kind of diving into it really come?
So I wrote books about both leaving their job and leaving the relationship. Usually by the time they find me, they say, I need to get the F out of here. I can't do this anymore. What I do is I help them see that they can do it. And not everybody can leave their job. That's what I realized. Like, not everybody has the freedom to just do what I did and walk away from everything and go live in Tulum for 2 years. Like, that's not a feasible thing to do for people. It was part of my healing journey, and I brought back all of those things. But part of it is that I want them to stay. I want them to see how it's possible to stay and be the leader that they want to be, rather than what everybody's feeding them of what leadership is. Just like you said, they, don't use your softness, that kind of thing. I argue you can be you 100% in your role. But usually by the time they get to me, they're like, I got to get the F out of here, because they're just at their wit's end.
You're muted, Dara.
We're getting to the top of the hour. Do any panelists need to pop off at the top of the hour if we go just a couple minutes? Okay. Because I have one more question. I did want to see, did anyone feel pulled to answer that about the timing, like knowing the right timing to give your gift?
Yeah, I do. And I love that you brought forth this idea, Dara, about it. Ultimately, it's all self-love, because, what I've come to see and know about timing, right timing of the giving of our magic, is like timing and self-love are intricately connected. And if I look back at the times where I gave my magic when it wasn't asked for, they were not ready, they were not wanting it was because it was about me and my, interesting, back to that kind of really impossible place to be in, of being terrified of being seen and simultaneously desperate to be seen.
Yes.
And throwing it on people before they were ready or wanting it. And now that I feel much more fully, deeply in love with myself and integrated and accepting of all the parts of me, I don't feel that need. So it's much more easy for me to use my intuition to tell me when to share my intuition and when not to.
Seems so obvious, right?
Now.
Well, and I love that, because I think you're pointing to something that probably everyone can relate to, is sometimes it's an ego thing. Like I say, when I first started, I just wanted to prove, because I was coming from engineering to coaching and people thought I was crazy, or I assumed they did. And so I wanted to prove this was great and it would help everybody. And I knew a lot of things and it would be amazing. And so there was this energy of trying to figure it out and tell. And it doesn't support us. Like, there's a whole chapter in here on cultivating commitment, which is what we need to be doing in the beginning. It's not about giving all these truths, right? The truth comes later. It's the commitment that comes first, and really committing to transformation. So I so relate to that, Kate. Just let me just tell you.
Yeah.
and Let me just see. So we're talking, my next question is about marketing your gift and how do you market your gift? So this can kind of, if you had an answer to the other one, we can kind of weave these together. When, you know, I'm thinking about doing intuitive readings, right? And a lot of people do intuitive readings, and that can be awesome. And, you know, it's kind of like I was trained in energy leadership, which is this assessment of the 7 levels of energy. And when I used to sell the assessment separately, like someone could come buy this with me in this initial session and I would give them information about themselves. Some of my colleagues could do that and they would always sign people up as clients. For me, when I did that free, or not free, even when it was paid, but I did that one-off session, it was like people got so much that they went away and they said, okay, now I know everything, let me figure it out. But it's like knowing everything isn't helpful. For me, it's never been helpful, right? Like I can know all the things, but if there's that thing hidden from my view, there's that energetic pattern that's keeping me from actually being that, it's not helpful. And so I get readings occasionally. I have an astrologer I work with, right? And she's brilliant and I get great information, but it's different than being in a transformational container, right? So if you're getting this intuition and you're telling someone they're not ready to receive it, they're not ready to implement it, it kind of, I have pages of reading notes that I didn't do anything with, right? Where I might go back later and go, oh, now I see that was really brilliant, but I didn't do anything with it. So I'm curious, when you think about how do you market your gift? How do you structure your business to support this gift? That's the question. Who would like to take that? And this is my last question. If any viewers have questions, let me know. Meredith, I feel it's you. Yeah, I knew it was you.
Well, I was reflecting on this question this morning, and I was like, oh, I'm not using it in my marketing. And then I said, wait a minute, like my Facebook group is called Possibility, like possibility. My group program is a 90-day soulbatical to powerfully create your next chapter. Like it's all about expansion and new and possibility and the journey of, where you are now to where you want to be. So I just laugh at myself at how much this has eluded me, but thank God intuitively, I'm putting my money where my magic is.
Ooh, that's good. That's like tweetable.
That's a tweetable.
I did tweets.
By the way, someone wanted to know where the quiz is, so we should mention that.
Yes, there is a way to get the quiz at the back of the book.
Great.
There's also an entire chapter that describes these 6 in the back of the book. Yeah, I love that, Meredith. And I think it's really interesting. How can your brand allude to your magic, right? So your brand has an energy, the words you use, the visuals, like we've chosen nature, and my hands are on the website, and my brander is an amazing magician, and she did that. And I kind of saw it and I was like, oh, is that really what we want? And then I was like, wait, yeah, your hand, like that is part of your work. That's important. So I love that it shows up in your brand.
Thank you. And big blue sky tends to be what I'm drawn to. So I use a lot of big, expansive nature scenes. And now I know why.
Yeah, I love it. So good. Who else?
I just have to say, I now know why I wrote 2 books that are completely about vibration.
Yes.
100%. Your job isn't aligned vibrationally. Your relationship isn't aligned vibrationally. It's like, oh, hello.
Yes. Oh my gosh, love it. Yeah. How do you market your gift, or how do you structure your business to support your gift? Kate.
Yeah, I'll jump in because once I had that realization that I really do know what I'm talking about when I'm present in the moment, out of my head, and just letting what wants to come through as an expression magician, I just started putting space in both my marketing and in my offers, and calling it something, right? Like I do my weekly Facebook Lives and I call them mesmerizing messaging. And I have no idea what I'm going to say until about 20 minutes before. And then I kind of go, okay, go. And
I really want to underline this, because if anyone has the things that Kate said, like I don't know what I do. You're probably an expression magician. And that is actually the most brilliant thing you can do as an expression magician, is invite people to show up and then just know something brilliant will happen. And then, like you said earlier, watch it back later.
Watch it back later or get it transcribed.
Have your assistant turn it into social media posts.
Yes, which I've just started doing. You know, I've got a few new people on the team, and we're kind of upping that. We're upping my positioning. So we're going to start sharing little clips of videos and me doing the work and stuff like that, to model it without needing to explain. And also not, that would be my encouragement, is don't wait, because you will be waiting forever, right? If you wait to be like, oh, I need to know exactly what I'm going to say and what the topic is, and I'm going to follow that marketing advice to like map out my month of content, and then you'll get to the day and be like, this is not alive. But if instead you just put space, like structures with nothing in them, but just enough direction, like this is the umbrella topic, and then show up, tune in, go, then you're doing your magic.
I love that. I love it. Who else? How do you market your magic or structure your business around it? And I can share from a compassion magic standpoint, like I mentioned earlier, retreats. Retreats are so good for compassion magic. And during this pandemic, I've been doing individual retreats. We have a guest room that's set up for clients, and we do it at the house with one person. But having that, and you can do it virtually, right? Just as well. And we are offering Shift the Field Live has a virtual retreat. So there's so much you can do with distance, but having a group where the common agreement is self-acceptance and self-love, like that, just that, even if I taught nothing, right? Just that is healing. And then creating experiences to help people practice with that really makes a difference. And, you know, for me, one of the biggest challenges of a compassion magician is boundaries. So, you know, just because someone's experiencing something and you have compassion and empathy and love and you can see what's possible doesn't mean that that's for you to give, right? So give your substance where it can do most good. And so that retreat also is people have committed to their transformation before they arrive. And so they're ready to receive it. Whereas I know for me, I got drained a lot by family members having stuff going on and having that like, oh, if I could just heal this, you know, but also just by feeling bad, having these boundaries of like, I'm sorry, but I'm not your person right now, you know? And so that might be helpful for anyone else who heals in that way.
Yeah, I would say too, with sensation, you know, the core of all of my work is supporting people and being seen, whether that's through oracle cards or travel or retreats, or supporting retreat leaders with their events. And what I've noticed is I talk a lot about being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And if you're a sensation magician, sensing things in your body can be very uncomfortable. And it's learning to see like, oh, wait, this is actually a gift. And now I'm like actually very comfortable when my body signals something to me. And I know whether it's safe or not, or whether it's like giving me information about another person and something to download to one of my clients and share in that way. And so it's been cool to see that it's like, I've just been, for the past couple of years, it's like, I've been getting these intuitive hits to like put this information out and put it on my website and speak it and not really know why. And now it's like coming full circle and I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting that it's all aligned in that way.
Such a great question to ask for a sensation magician. And this is the most closely aligned with what we would call empath, right? Everybody here is an empath, but it's like in the body. is this mine or is it someone else's? Is this mine or is it someone else's? And if it's someone else's, why am I experiencing it, right? And so you might be experiencing it because you haven't been doing your own hygiene and setting those boundaries. And, one of the things I've been doing as a tool for the last little while is a lot of Qigong, specifically for clearing my own body of other energies and my own energies. And then if it is someone else's, what am I to do with it, right? Because going and telling someone, do you have a stomach ache, or what is going on with your hip or whatever, like that's also not appropriate, right? So there's that next level of intuition of why am I getting this, and maybe that person is meant to be your client, they're considering it, and you're like, oh, I know what's going on. But that doesn't mean you go tell them, right? And this is, it's consent. It's providing the right level of support. Kate, I was sharing with my team what you had said about the dream you had about the guy who was telling someone their pain was an illusion and they were in pain, and like that's not appropriate or healthy. And so we've got to learn how to invite people in, how to know that your magic will show up right on time when they're there, and to trust that process. Like we get hung up on the brain has to figure it all out. I think Kate talked earlier about head knowing, right? We get hung up on that and we think our client needs that. And one of the things I've found is the less I care about that, the less my clients care about that. Like they really don't. But it's our traditional culture to figure everything out.
And one thing I'd like to say for any of the people out there that identify as a recognition magician is, and because marketing is a challenge in this sense, we see patterns and we see things finished. So for my business, for example, I might say, oh, I see all this, it's already happened. For me to go back, it's painstaking to now I've got to slow it all down and market it. And so for a recognition magician, it's good to have a team to bring someone on that's going to do that, because it slows my energy down so much for myself, because I just want to be here where it's all, I already see it. It's done. You see, it's already done. So
Julie, that's so good. That's so helpful. Yeah. So for recognition, it's like just the visualizing of it. There's the joy, right? And then, okay, the joy is done, but now I have to actually go implement it. So if you've ever had that where you're like frustrated at, I get that, like bogged down in the details, and it's like, no, like this just needs to happen. Isn't that just obvious?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Don't you recognize that that's exactly, and I experienced that in corporate when Kelly was talking about corporate earlier. Yeah. That's what I experienced. It's like, isn't it obvious? Like, why are we still talking about this next?
And it's the danger of even talking in the marketing about things like that. It can be with each of us and all of our magics, there's the pitfalls. Yes. Within how we market ourselves. And so, but that's one of the things I recognize in my recognition magic is it's a pitfall for me.
And we're back to timing again, because a lot of times you can see so far ahead and you think, I need to do this now. And for me, I think, oh my gosh, I'm ahead. Like I got to get this out so I can be ahead. And it's like, people don't want you to be ahead.
Way ahead.
You really don't need to be ahead.
Way ahead. Yeah.
Right on time is perfect. Like you can afford to let it take time and get the team to do it. And even if you think like, oh, I thought of that 2 years ago and we're just marketing it now, it's going to be right on time. It really is. That's such a good point. Okay. So let's wrap this up with how can people learn more about you? Meredith.
Hello. People can come to my website. It's www.pauseboxco.com. And I have a cool energy quiz, a very different kind of energy quiz than yours, but a really good one to kind of help you align yourself out of hustle and struggle and back into that golden energy. So it's really aimed for the people who are super busy and tired of, having their energy be all over the place. So that quiz is on my site. I'd love to see you there.
Yeah, and get it now because I know you're filling a group right now. You have a few spots left.
Starts on Tuesday. I've got 2 spots left. If you are in transition and you're ready to step into your next chapter, I am here to help hold that container and give you the skills and support.
Nice. And Julie, how can people find you?
Well, I'm in a really...
Do you even know?
I'm in such this lovely spot of kind of redefining myself.
Hey, Julie, Meredith has a program for that.
There you go. But I do have a website. It's smallbusinesssavvy.com, or they could drop me an email, julie@smallbusinesssavvy.com. But I am reinventing myself to a degree right now. So.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, Julie has been a part of the Sourced team. She's been our lead coach for the last 2 years and, has been a huge part in helping me develop this work and holding space for our clients. So awesome. Thank you. Robin, how can people find you?
Yes, you can visit my website or find me on social at Wandering Ant, and that's AUNT. And follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most lively, as well as Facebook. And I'm so excited that travel is kind of starting to pick up again. So if you're ready to go on an epic journey with me and be seen through photo shoots and step into confidence, then reach out to me. I'm ready. I'm so eager to travel. So reach out to me.
Nice. Great. And Kelli, how about you?
Thank you. I can be found at kellireese.com, and I also have a free grounding guide there that helps you to learn 3 powerful practices for grounding your energy, which will get you back into vibration and out of your head so you can actually find your direction and path forward.
Beautiful. Out of your head is amazing. Kate, how can people find you?
So you can go to my website, which is my name, katewolf.global. And then if the bit we were talking about the terror, if that really resonates, I have a guide called Moving Through Fear, which is at my website and then /move through fear. And, in terms of being an expressive magician, one of my main things is teaching storytelling to other magicians, right? How to market your healing gifts through story. So again, same website, katewolf.global/story, and that will take you through to a training called Stand Out with Story.
Nice. Awesome. I'm working on putting the links here in the chat. I'll go do that over on Facebook when we complete. Any parting words?
Shift the field.
Yeah, if you haven't taken the quiz or read the book, do it.
Yes.
Take the quiz.
Get your copy.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Donna, I'm remembering a few years ago, one of your intentions was to normalize transformation.
Absolutely.
And this book is such a part of that, and how important these conversations are, where we talk about our magical gifts, the way we feel, the way we sense, as 100% normal, natural ways of experiencing the world. So important.
Thank you for that. That is still my mission. And this is a piece of that because it teaches the anatomy of a transformation. And while it is all written for practitioners, service-based entrepreneurs, when we understand it, we can also hold more grace and space for other humans who are in transformation, right? Because the opposite of normalizing transformation is a world of judgment and criticism. And we see so much of that right now in so many places. And when we can really see, I think about so much of my work started with my divorce, and it looked like the worst possible time in my life. Everything was going wrong. And yet it really is the best time in my life. And there were very few people that knew how to hold space for that, right? Like they either expected me to be a total mess or I don't know. It just, it really, like we're always growing. We're always somewhere in this cycle as humans. And if we're not, we're on a downward spiral. And so really being able to understand where your clients are, but where other humans in your life are brings more compassion, right? Yeah, thank you for that. Oh, amazing. I love you all. You are so generous with your insights and just such amazing human beings. Everybody watching, like you can't spend enough time around these people. So definitely follow up, get to know them, and purchase Shift the Field. Thank you, team. Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.